Hey everyone, it's been a while. Welcome back to an impromptu episode of the Wrestling Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Jack Goodwillie, and I'm bringing in editor John Corrigan today to talk all things pro wrestling. After we just had a very hearty discussion on pro wrestling Twitter and certain people who will not be named on this podcast. John, how you doing?
Jack, I am glad to be back. First of all, I'm glad that you resurrected the podcast. I thought it was dead. I thought it was right there with Calvin's Hollywood career, but now we are back, and the world is excited.
Oh boy, yeah, I'm happy to have it back too. It's good to have a forum to talk about this stuff, because for a long time I've just been stewing on a lot of things pro wrestling related. I'm just like thinking to myself, man, a podcast would be great for this. And I don't really know what I want to do with it. This is just a thing that I'm doing for fun at this point. Troy, if you're listening, we did great stuff together. I'm happy to bring that back to that sort of format. I hope he's listening. I really do.
Listening? I don't think he's listening.
You don't think so?
No.
Well, you should make him listen. Then you're a lot closer. He's a lot more accessible to you than me at this point.
I don't know. He sent in 2 pieces. He answered a round table, and that might be it. I don't know. Haven't heard from him.
Really? Oh, that stinks.
You know who I have heard from?
Who?
Jenna. She is back.
Yeah, she re-entered the Twitter sphere. Ironically, on the same day that we went under siege.
You think she's less more?
No, I think that you know what I thought about doing? I thought about retweeting her thing about positivity on Twitter and social media and tagging Les Moore in it. I almost did it.
That would have been good.
Yeah, I was just at the point of being over that whole thing and not being over it at all.
I'm over it now. You just gave me therapy. Those 40 minutes were the best.
That's what this is, man. This is it's pro wrestling therapy. We can just talk this shit out.
Yeah, that's how you should brand this. You should market that pro wrestling therapy.
Yeah, maybe we should. Freak show is good too, but pro wrestling therapy. It is therapeutic.
Absolutely.
We've got WrestleMania season beckoning. Get it? I didn't plan that. That just came. Shot from the hip there. Yeah, WrestleMania season's coming up. John, what is the main event? The
main event is obviously the women: Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte, with Charlotte winning the title.
Oh, what a heel!
That's right.
There's like no chance of that happening, right?
No chance of what happening? Charlotte winning or that main event?
Charlotte winning can't happen.
Why can't it happen?
Because she's the least significant part of that whole menage a trois, if you will.
Boy, you must be new to WWE. Let me educate you on who she is. She's a Flair.
Shout out Mark Masick. I remember the time when he told me that you said that was your catchphrase, or no, you said that you thought that was Charlotte's catchphrase when in fact it was not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't recall those dark days.
Yeah, he just said that he was having a conversation with you once, and you were like, "Yeah, Charlotte." She says, "We are Flairs," and Mark was like, no, she doesn't."
Well, first of all, if it came to whose knowledge of Charlotte and Rick, I'm going to go with me over him every single time. He didn't even watch wrestling.
Yeah, you're right. I would put you on the tier right below Conrad Thompson.
Wow, that's pretty good. I mean, he's fucking in the family.
I know.
That's impressive. Listen,
I don't. Did you hear? Actually,
yeah. Well, I don't want to project this, but
go. I mean, yeah, please.
But I'm going to. Did you listen today to Something to Wrestle With?
I listened to the first 2.5 hours.
But you know the end result, right?
Yeah, so I'm a Patreon subscriber for that. So I actually skipped ahead to the end yesterday.
Okay.
And I know the end result. Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, that's pretty good stuff. I mean, you're a diehard fan. I love that show.
What about sticking around?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I figured they would. I figured they'd find a way. Um, the lack of live shows doesn't surprise me, but I'm glad that they're scaling back on that because I didn't want the show. I didn't want it to become too live show centric. You know, they were playing every month. I think that's a little much. I think if they just stuck to like 2 shows a year, that'd be fine, right?
Yeah.
I would see them
I
WrestleMania weekend.
I really didn't think that they were going to continue it because, I mean, eventually it's going to become odd for him to talk about current situations and talk about, like, you know, like say they did a Randy Orton episode. I think that would be a little awkward for him because he's technically working there with him still.
Somewhat, but there's a way to kind of frame those discussions and stories to where it doesn't have to have any bearing on it. I was 50-50 on if they were going to continue or not. I could have really gone either way. I had a hunch they'd continue though because they are trolls at the end of the day, and it takes one to know one, quite frankly. By the way, did you ever hear the story of Conrad at WrestleMania?
No, tell me.
This was not from a specific source. It appeared in a few different comment sections. I saw it once on Reddit, in like a just comment reply to something, and then I saw it once on a Something to Wrestle with YouTube video comment. Apparently he came back to his seat during the show and was like made a comment like they ran out of toilet paper in the bathroom or something like that. But that got convoluted into Conrad destroyed a bathroom in the Louisiana Superdome because he had too much Cajun food.
Jesus Christ.
It is funny to think about though.
Oh, it is. It is.
Too much Cajun food. So back to this match.
Yes.
What do you think? Do you really think Charlotte's gonna win?
I really
or are you
do.
just saying that for radio?
I really do think she's gonna win. How could you not? Who's gonna win? Rousey?
I could think of a couple of reasons why she's not. No, Ronda's not winning.
Right, exactly.
If this were SmackDown versus Raw, Becky goes over.
Okay.
And they're going to do confetti at the end and everything. And then Ronda's going to be like she's going to be like off in the corner, and then Charlotte's going to be like holding her ribs out on the entrance ramp or something like that, just looking on while the pyro goes off and everybody gets a happy ending.
But that's not going to happen.
Why not? Why wouldn't that happen? If it's the main event.
We haven't had a happy ending to a WrestleMania in quite some time.
Well, maybe it's time to change. It's a perfect opportunity. No Brock Lesnar in the main event, no Roman Reigns in the main event, and I will get to him. Best believe it.
Don't you think it's odd that Charlotte would be added to the match if she's not going to win?
I think she's in the match to make it a better match.
You don't think Becky and Ronda could have a good match?
No, I think they would have a good match. I also think that Charlotte is just more talent to add to the match. I wouldn't have put her in myself. I would have done my line of thinking is that you want as many main event matches on the show as possible, quote unquote main event, not the CM Punk, what they told poor CM Punk about being in the WrestleMania main event when he was like the third match on the show. But I mean, just stack the card, give everybody as many main event caliber matches as possible. And for that reason, I would have done Becky, Ronda, and Charlotte versus Asuka too.
I like that. I know you put that on one of the round tables. I love that idea. And the roles would be reversed. Asuka would be the champion this time. Charlotte would be the challenger. But Asuka's the one that needs to beat Charlotte. I mean, that was just that was perfect. Because now, Asuka has nobody to face. There's no compelling challenger on SmackDown to go against Asuka.
Without a doubt. Um, we'll see what they do. I mean, I think she just had Mandy Rose on SmackDown. Maybe they do some sort of handicap match of sorts. I don't know what's going to happen with her. And I do think Charlotte makes it a slightly better match. They also have to kind of pay off in some way, shape, or form that Survivor Series attack.
What was the Survivor Series? Oh, Ronda and Charlotte?
Yeah.
Well, what do you? I mean, you think what Ronda just beats the hell out of Charlotte?
Yeah, there's got to be something to like just pay that off because of all the angles involving those three and physicality. The one that I think left the biggest impression on everybody, I would say, Becky's attack coming out of the crowd at Elimination Chamber was number 2. Number 1 would be Charlotte's attack on Ronda. That was a big deal, and it kind of made me like cringe a little because it's like, that means they might build Ronda at WrestleMania when that's not the match people want to see. It's Ronda Becky, but it was just done with such ferocity and such aggression, and they put so much into that. They've got to do something with it.
I mean, they haven't done anything yet, and I mean, they were both in the ring. I don't know. I feel like it's been some months, some time has passed. I don't see that paying off. I think the payoff is Charlotte being in the triple threat.
We'll see. I mean, I have to believe it's going to be in the video package for this match. You think they're just going to forget about it?
No, but I don't think it means as much as you think it means. I think that it happened. Charlotte got a lot of heat. You know, it almost was a face turn, but now she's a heel all over again, which has been a problem with their booking lately. Is they're really going? They're giving everybody big show booking. You know, everybody's switching back and forth.
Yeah, how timely. Given our 20th anniversary of the Big Show Roundtable.
Look at that cheap plug, cheap plug.
Yeah. Well, I guess the reason I asked you what the main event's going to be is twofold. One, Dave Meltzer reported that they have not decided what the last match is going to be and probably won't until the week of the show. It's probably going to be this match. Let's be honest. It's got the most heat. It's got the most just overall forward momentum, and it's the match I think everybody wants to see. And they want to get that happy ending with Becky going over in the end. So I do think that goes on last. But Roman Reigns is apparently 100% cleared. Is that right?
I don't know about that. I didn't. On Raw, he said that he's back. He didn't say that he's ready to wrestle.
Well, I saw, you know how these local markets will advertise matches for these big shows before the matches actually get announced so they can drive ticket sales?
Yeah.
I saw one where it's going to be Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns against McIntyre, Corbin, and a third heel. I forget who.
Was it Lashley?
For Fastlane. Yeah, Lashley, yeah.
For Fastlane?
Yep.
I mean, they would have to announce that, like, ASAP.
Like Monday.
Yeah, that would be it. I mean, technically, you could still do that match with him not being cleared. I mean, he doesn't. If it's a tag match, he doesn't really have to do anything.
That's true. It is leading to speculation, though, that now that things are starting to like fall into place, now we know who Triple H's opponent is going to be. We think we know who Daniel Bryan's opponent is going to be, and then we've got Batista. Well, obviously Batista coming back. The other thing was just trying to figure out what Dean Ambrose is going to do at his last WrestleMania, and now Roman's back, so there's speculation that it could be Dean versus Roman.
Yeah, I mean, I have no interest in that, to be honest with you. I mean, if Dean's leaving, who cares what he does?
You know, it's going to sound a little messed up on my part. I wish he didn't rush Roman Reigns back right away.
Yeah, I think. Well, no, I agree.
I think they pronouns pal being WWE thinks that ratings are down because Roman Reigns is off the show. And that is a total straw man. Roman Reigns is not going to drive Raw ratings. I think I'm not even convinced anymore that he's going to be this big baby face now that I thought he was going to be when he came back, because it's been, what, 3 months since he left? No, 4 maybe. It was shortly before Survivor Series in Saudi Arabia. That was November. So it's been about 4 months of no Roman Reigns, and I think people were expecting to see him gone at least till WrestleMania. But now here he is back on TV doing TV stuff, and it's almost like he never left. And I know, look, I'm really happy that he's going to be okay. You know, there's a lot of people thinking that WWE is working a storyline with his leukemia. That would be pretty wild. I've given that thought. I can't lie and say that it hasn't crossed my mind that they could pull that stunt. But I don't see it. I'm happy that he's okay. I just wish they would have held him off a little bit longer. So then that way he can come back and really, really be this fresh character. Now he's just back to Roman Reigns, and it's like he never left. It's like, you know. What do you think?
I think that it was very tasteless for WWE Shop to send an email right after his speech urging us to buy his new cancer shirt. And the shirt, you know, people have been saying it online. I looked on the website. I didn't see anything where it says proceeds of this shirt go to any charity or funding or anything like that. You know, that was just very like carny wrestling, you know. I don't know. It just was not tastefully done. Because this whole thing was tasteful. I mean, the way that I know people complained that he that they shouldn't have marketed his return for ratings, but he came out, gave this great passionate speech. The fans got to cheer for him. They got to shower him with the praise. This is your yard chants. I mean, that was pretty cool. It was a cool moment. And this is coming from somebody who, you know, I didn't like Roman. Not that I didn't like him. I didn't care. Like, Roman Reigns never affected me one way or the other. I never had any emotional investment in Roman Reigns. And now I kind of did, because this guy is overcoming this unbelievable, you know, sickness, this tragedy. And he's back, and he looks great, and he seems happy, and the crowd loves him. And then it's like 3 seconds later, oh, buy the shirt. And then, on top of it all, he's already doing Superman punches, like the same show. It was very, very rushed. And if it's really him versus Ambrose at Mania, I mean, who gives a shit? He just saved Ambrose from a beatdown that I don't know. And I just think that I'm with you. They should have held off. You know, just to see, because I don't know. Who knows? Who really knows if he's 100%? And it also takes some shine away from Seth if this is really going to be Seth's big crowning moment at WrestleMania, which I still don't think it is. That's my other prediction, is Lesnar wins. I'm going with Charlotte, Lesnar, and Batista to walk out as victors at WrestleMania.
Do you think Batista sticks around after WrestleMania?
No, not at all. No. You don't think so, right?
I do.
You do?
He's always said that if he comes back, he wants to do one more run for one more year. I think, and do all the house shows and do all that stuff. I don't know the status of the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie, because Batista said that with James Gunn being off the hook for making a sexual joke on Twitter or something along those lines, that he wouldn't do it without him. So maybe this is a good time to do that one last run. You get a WrestleMania match this year, a WrestleMania match next year, and then you're done. I could see that being the case. By the way, before we started recording your show today, I saw the most probably obvious like light bulb type thing that I could have ever thought of. with Bruce Pritchard now back in the company, and the timing of this Triple H Batista angle, I saw it and I thought, oh, this has got Bruce Pritchard written all over it. And the report came out today that, yeah, in fact, Bruce did produce that angle. One that I gave heavy praise to on Twitter.
Absolutely. Brother Love is back, baby.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I love that angle. I thought, like, every year WWE is good for about 2 or 3 of those. Last year, of course, we had the Becky Lynch invasion angle, and this year you've got Batista crashing the Ric Flair birthday party. No, I should say birthday celebration. Flair's birthday party was over the weekend. Did you see any of that?
Absolutely. I loved all that.
It was great. Just random celebrities, wrestlers, sport like athletes. I think I saw Todd Gurley there.
Yeah. Well, he's the greatest of all time. Who doesn't want to celebrate the greatest of all time?
Seriously. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall. I know Conrad was there.
Was he?
Of course. Yeah.
I know that Jericho was there, which I thought was cool.
Jericho was there. And, okay, I got to talk about Jericho.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to talk about Jericho for a long time. Give me your thoughts on Chris Jericho from like a
well, you should go.
You're
the one that wants to talk about him. I don't want to keep you.
All right, you know what? I'll start. Okay. Yeah. I can't tell. Maybe it's just a good job on his part of being a worker, but I can't tell if this guy is like a decent human being or a complete prick.
Wait,
I can't tell.
Why do you think he's a complete prick?
Just maybe complete prick's the wrong word, because he's done a lot of good things for people. Like he donated like $100,000 to Perry Saturn, among other people, and he really does a good job of helping out with those wrestling related charities and causes. But very egocentric. He did a whole podcast explaining why he went to AEW and put himself over every second of it.
Well, I enjoyed that podcast.
I did too. I listened to it 3 times. Once while I was going to sleep, which was pretty weird. But yeah, I just can't. He's playing this character when he's not. You know, his Instagram now, every other post is a picture of his wife. He didn't used to do that, which means he's probably in the doghouse for something. Right? Like,
I guess.
Just an observation of me. Like, his outfits are just the stupidest fucking thing now. He looks like a complete idiot all the time. Well, listen, I like Chris Jericho. He's going to be heavily featured in my upcoming draft show, which is almost done. He's gonna be heavily featured in that. But you know, he does like the face paint. He looks like a geek now, and salt and pepper hair. He's gained a lot of weight, and he just talks himself up all the time. Plus, the ads on his podcast are him and Conrad are 1A and 1B as far as the most cringy segues to ads.
Well, I'm gonna. You mentioned several things here. I'm gonna try and touch on as many as I can.
Sure.
The face paint. I mean, isn't that in character? Isn't that when he's wrestling?
It is.
He's a heel.
It looks pretty. It's pretty bad look.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to say, "Oh, he's a good-looking heel."
No, but
he wants you to hate him by any means necessary.
Yeah, that's true. Plus, there's always been rumors of him using lifts in his boots. Did you ever hear that one?
No.
People like, so basically, Chris Jericho and AJ Styles are like the same height, same shoot height. And in like AJ's very first segment on Raw, like Jericho confronts him backstage or something like that, and Jericho's like 3 inches taller than him.
Oh wow!
So people are like, "What the fuck is that?" Jericho does a great job of getting people over and getting himself over, but he loves his favorite part. I think is keeping himself over, maybe, and I just say that speculatively. I'm not talking about this from a journalist perspective. This is not wrestling journalism. What I'm doing right here. It's giving an opinion, guys. It's cool. And then with this whole AEW thing, it's like he's constantly saying, "Oh, there's no ill will towards me and WWE," but he's constantly taking like low blows at like WWE's offers and the things they were asking him to do, and then in character, like or maybe in character, out of character, or maybe he's just drunk. Did you see the Twitter rant that he did during one of the pay-per-views? I think maybe it was the Royal Rumble.
I think that was just to stir some debate. I mean, he when he's done these tweets in the past, he later explains how he sets them up, how he has it all orchestrated. I think it just so happened to be the Royal Rumble, I think it was. One of the biggest WWE events of the year. He knows a lot of wrestling fans are talking about it, and he just so happens to start tweeting shit about AEW. I don't know. I thought that was orchestrated well. You mentioning, maybe he likes to keep himself over the best. I think that's the goal. That's the goal of staying in the business. I mean, if he's not going to keep himself over, who the hell is? And I think that he does a great job of it. And he's obviously salty about how he was treated by WWE. And I don't blame him. And I think he just keeps saying that there's no ill will. So maybe he keeps the door open like Pritchard did. But, he obviously felt that Vince and them didn't see him as valuable as he sees himself, which is just like Cody felt the same way and numerous other guys. So, I mean, I hopefully I can talk you off of thinking he's a complete prick. I think he's just doing a good job.
I didn't say that.
What did you say?
I said that he could. There is a chance that he could be a complete prick. I think there's a better chance that he's probably a mix of like a really good guy and just a bit of a prick. The other thing was, as far as him keeping the door open and stuff like that, and he was just sharing a lot of. He was, like you said, he was at Ric Flair's birthday party over the weekend. He was just sharing a lot of selfies of him and Triple H, and it was just like very third grade of him to do. I thought to do that.
Yeah, but I think it's just to keep buzz going. It's just to keep the name out there. I mean, look, AEW. We've talked about this. They have nothing going on until fucking May 25th. Like,
yeah,
this is a company built on buzz, and if there's no buzz out there, then what are we doing? I mean, they're signing people apparently all the time, and if you're not fucking on Twitter every second, you're never gonna know. There was no fanfare for this Bea Priestley. I don't know who she is, but she got signed, and I saw a tweet.
Yeah.
Well, what the hell is this? I mean, there's nothing about it. How's this company supposed to sustain itself?
Here you go, by the way.
Who's that? What's that? Oh, there you go.
It says, awesome hang with this cat last night. Actually, no, it was actually awesome hang this cat last night. ! Hashtag internet blows up.
But they're not even friends, right?
I know they're not. So you and we all know that.
Like, they're not friends.
Yeah. So look, you're right. AEW is a company built on mostly hype. And I don't know. Maybe I just follow him on too many social media channels, and all of it's starting to annoy me. There are certain things. There are certain things about AEW that annoys me, actually.
Well, you're not allowed to criticize them. You know that.
Listen, when it began to take root, we had the press conferences and Neville appeared and all that, and Jericho came out. Great. I was talking to you about taking a trip to Vegas to go see this show.
You almost talked me into it.
Yeah. Well, wasn't even able to get my hands on a couple tickets in case I did go, because they just sold out that fast.
I fucking told you that would happen, and you told me, "Oh, Edge and Christian aren't sure."
Edge and Christian said that they were not sure. They said that. I swear to God.
What the hell do they know? What they don't know about ticket prices? They got
apparently they
like you do.
Yeah, they don't know anything. I go to Las Vegas most Memorial Day weekends as an adult, and It's packed with stuff to do, but could there be opportunity to make that a wrestling weekend? Yeah, absolutely. I think they should have maybe just ran T-Mobile. I think that would have made everybody a lot more happy. It's going to be a great show, though. I will say that, and I just think they're in a bit of a tough spot right now because, like you said, it is a company built on hype, and there's just really nothing happening. They're just doing their videos, and I don't really even think the Being the Elite videos are that funny at all, personally. A lot of it's just like potty internet wrestling community humor. People are gonna be like, "Oh no, it's great," and I love hearing Cody talk when he does interviews and stuff. But seeing his character on these web shows is just, I'm not the biggest fan. I never was. I've never been really into the Young Bucks, and I really question. Here's another criticism I have. I'm just kind of just going right now. I'm kind of on fire.
Let it out. Let it out.
Yeah. You have a wrestling company. Tony Khan is the right man for this job. But you have the Young Bucks, Cody, Kenny Omega. They're all vice presidents. They're going to be corporate entities. Yet I have no idea what they contribute on that level. They've never done it before, and it's the same thing the wrestlers tell fans. You've never done this, so who are you to criticize? Same thing here, kind of. But I just have my doubts. It's weird. It's weird to look at Young Bucks and Cody and Kenny and think vice president. I haven't seen them do it before, and until they do, I'm going to be skeptical. I could be proven wrong though too. And I thought that Kenny's decision to go with AEW over WWE. And I don't know if you heard this, but Kenny would have gone to WWE over New Japan, just purely based on the money and opportunity they were willing to give him. But I thought he handled that with total class. I think he's a total pro. I love Kenny Omega. But man, I do have my doubts at how these guys are going to be able to handle a corporate workload, apparently, on top of the wrestling stuff they're going to have to do. I really had my doubts. Not a lot of people do, because it's like, oh, you kidding? It's the Young Bucks. Everything you can do is awesome because they're the Young Bucks. But I'm not one of those guys. I've never thought they were the world's greatest tag team or anything like that. That's Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas, by the way.
Well,
what are your thoughts on AEW?
Well, I mean, when you say that, the corporate workload, I don't even know what that consists of. I mean, isn't Khan going to be handling most of that?
I guess, but they all have the title of vice president.
I think that's just like, you know how like there's like 13 people as an executive producer on a show or a movie, and only like 3 actually work on it. I think it's like that.
I heard that the 4 of them are going to also be like the bookers, so quote unquote, and the creative behind it, and that Tony will just be the 5th man. He'll be like the Vince McMahon, and really just, if it is kind of split down the middle, he'll be the deciding vote.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I guess that's what they want to do. I mean, they want to run their own company. I have faith in the Young Bucks because they pretty much launched their own business. I mean, they're entrepreneurs. They made so much money in merchandise and established their brand. Cody the same way. I mean, he completely reinvented himself. He wisely hooked up with them at the right time, and avoided becoming like a Ryback or a Damian Sandow after leaving WWE, which he could have ended up as, because he was fucking Stardust, and now he's a top guy. And he wasn't a top guy in WWE. He's a top guy now. He hooked up with the right people, got in at the right time, and he brands himself very well. And then, of course, Kenny Omega has Dave Meltzer branding him. So there you go. There's the 4 horsemen.
Easy now.
So that's I mean, look, I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna, I want to know where I'm watching it. Still, I can't believe it hasn't been announced yet. Uh, Nothing's really announced. We know what 2 matches for the show, and Cody has a mystery opponent. Um, we think maybe Ambrose will show up because it's in Vegas and he won't be under contract supposedly. Maybe Ty Dillinger will be there, which would be. I know. There you go. Go ahead. Go off on Ty Dillinger.
The other thing is like that has had me annoyed is just basically Cody weighing in on every WWE guy that gets released on Twitter.
Well, people are asking. They want to know.
Ty Dillinger. Ty Dillinger's not very good. I think that has more to do with what. Look. I was at one of the very first shows he brought out the 10 gimmick on. And it wasn't even as it became. It was basically just him coming out with one of those cards that you would see in like a slam dunk contest. And then him just going, 10. There's no 10 theme song or anything like that. But it got over with the crowd at the Tower Theater big time. And I'm sure it got over at shows of the like to the point where they actually made a TV character out of it. And you took a career journeyman and turned him into someone that could be used on the main roster, but never really had any one particular skill that he could hang his hat on either. And when you have that, at least Mojo Rawley has like a level of intensity, and that's why they're going back to that well. Ty Dillinger doesn't have that skill that he can hang his hat on. He does a lot of things pretty good. But he's a little older and doesn't a little more injury prone. Doesn't really have. He's like a 5-tool player in baseball that doesn't really contribute heavily in any one category. It doesn't exactly move the needle. It really makes you more of a bench player that you can slide in as needed. But it's not going to be someone that we're paying $10 million a year to that's going to be the center of the franchise. Now they weren't using him at all, and I think that was a bit out of line. He was right to request his release. He did make a big stink out of it though, which I was not really too big of a fan of. On one hand, he did beat WWE's announcement of it, and it was kind of turned into a situation of you can't fire me, I quit. That might be better for his career. I do think he'll end up in AEW though. Because they need some names to balance it out.
Yeah, but he's not even a name. Like nobody's buying a ticket to see Ty Dillinger.
All right, I'm not alone then. That's good.
Well, no, I'm just. I mean, you and I are not. We're not. I don't think we're the minority. I mean,
I don't want to make it sound like I'm knocking the guy because I'm not. I'm
right, but I'm just saying for them. For AEW, I mean, you're only signing him. You're not even signing him because he's an ex WWE guy, because he was barely a WWE guy. You would be signing him because Cody likes him, and I think I think all the guys like him. I think they respect him, but like in terms of a business, like if they signed him, that would be more of a friendship decision than a business decision. Ty Dillinger going to AEW. Is going to send a bad message, I think, also showing everybody, hey, we should just quit if we're unhappy where we're at, and AEW will pick us up. I mean, there's no way that they're going to put Ty Dillinger in a better spot than some of these younger guys that they've signed that have way more going on in terms of like buzz and potential. And like you said, he's older.
Yeah, he's like 38 years old.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I don't know. I think. The time has passed. If they are going to sign him, maybe put him in a tag team where he can give somebody else a rub, or maybe put him as like an opening match job guy where he can do the 10 gimmick, but still like put other guys over, but still like be more utilized. Really, no matter what they do with him, he'll be more utilized than he was in WWE. So that would be a positive. But I don't think they should sign him at all. They have a lot of people for not having anywhere to fucking watch them. They have a lot of people supposedly under contract.
It would be something else if this whole thing never got off the ground.
Right.
I mean, they're going to need TV to do it.
Yeah, they are, but I mean, at this point, it looks like a streaming, like an online thing.
There's there is opportunity for that. I think Netflix could be a good fit for them.
Yeah.
I speculated we actually did a roundtable where we talked about networks that it could land on in just the general AEW roundtable. And I think I said that CW is a great fit because of Cody's ties to Stephen Amell, who's on Arrow, and how prominent the superhero type mindset is with CW right now. CW's already done wrestling; they could easily bring it back. I think that would be an ideal fit, also.
Yeah, I like that idea. I would prefer them be on traditional TV. I know that's not the future, but I just think it's easier. Like like Women of Wrestling. Wow, they had their shows available online. Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody ever watched them, but they went on Access TV, and I'm watching every week. And I
What
know
do you
other
think of
people
that
are
show?
too. I like it. I think that some of the matches aren't like I'm not really interested in most of the matches. I'm interested in the main events, and I'm interested in the characters, but the matches don't really interest me that much. The other matches.
I was at Buffalo Wild Wings the other night, and they were playing WoW on TV.
See that's like a cool exposure.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it totally is. But as I was watching it, I was getting a bit of a different vibe from that than I get from other wrestling shows, and I don't know if I can put my finger on exactly what it is. They were doing an angle where like Tessa Blanchard was just beating the shit out of some dude. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Was it the old guy?
I think he was like he was an older gentleman.
Yeah, yeah.
Who was that?
I think it was their champion's dad, Santana Garrett's dad.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Yeah, yeah. I was like watching that, and I was like, "What is this?" like, and the matches are not very good. Um, but I will say that for women's wrestling, it's a great spot to get promo work in. I don't know. I think it's maybe not bad, but just different for the eyes to see like an all women's wrestling promotion where everything that goes on in that promotion centered around the women to the point where the male referees, the male announcers are now looking inferior to these women in like a big way.
Well, I like the I mean, I think where their strong suit is the character development because not a lot of companies are doing that in a good way right now. I just think the companies are trying. I mean, but like every single person that performs on that show has an identity, has a character that you understand that is very easy to get. And then some are more basic, others are more complicated, more nuanced. And but like they've already got me invested in like this Jungle Girl, this 18-year veteran who never lost. She got screwed over. Tessa Blanchard won the title, and she's got like her daughter that she's going home to. She's upset that she lost her daughter. Can't believe it. Tessa Blanchard's coming in there, and I'll tell you, which is fucking amazing to me. Within 2 weeks on WoW, Kira Hogan has gotten more over than being on Impact for an entire year. I just don't care about her in Impact. She's like a secondary player, but in WoW, I think she even lost one of the matches, and I still cared. Like it's crazy what they've been able to do.
Do you think Tessa is a better heel on Impact or WoW?
I'd say she's equal on both because first of all, she's getting to the point where fans are cheering her though because she's just so good. But I mean, she does a lot of heel shit on those shows. To be honest, she's really probably would you say like top 3, top 5 women out there in wrestling right now?
For sure. Although I've heard some promos of hers recently, and I don't know. There's just something about her voice. I don't know. There's the promo work. I think might be actually a weak point to her game. Her facial expressions are great, but the promos, I don't know if they're weak or if they're getting monotonous in any way. But that said, I still think she's a top talent in the business right now. And Impact was totally justified giving her that long-term deal that we talked about a while ago.
Absolutely. That was the best decision.
Great decision.
Her, especially because she can do well. Like, she can do other shows. She can compete other places.
And the reason I asked you which version of her you preferred is that she's not the same character on both. With Impact, she's gotten to be a little more aggressive. With WoW, you know, that's still a relatively new show, so she's still kind of like spreading out, I think, in terms of everything that her character's capable of. So it's just a little bit different. But I also think WoW, she's gotten more over as a heel from doing more of like the rule breaking. Whereas with Impact, it's been more that she's had great matches and great feuds.
Yeah. Well, I'm still surprised that she's not the champion anymore and Taya Valkyrie is. I don't consider Taya Valkyrie to be nearly as good as Tessa Blanchard, and I think they have, I don't know, maybe five, not five, that's outrageous. I'd say maybe three other women on the roster that are better than Taya Valkyrie, and I think they're just hanging their hat on husband-wife champions at the same time, which, you know, I don't know. And this whole Wera Loka character that she's doing, it came out of nowhere. I'm not sold on that. I liked her when she was like the queen or whatever she was, the Game of Thrones type bullshit that she did, where she came out, you know, slowly to the ring, the crowd. She was a heel. She was a good heel. Mm-hmm. But now she's like dancing with the fucking mariachis, and I'm just not into it. I don't know what happened to her. And they did nothing to explain what happened to her.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Like that really, I guess if you think about it, she might round out that top 5 group on Impact, but maybe
on Impact.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, I like Su Yung. I think her character's great. They have Jordan Grace now, who, you know, obviously still needs to develop more of a character on the show, but in the ring, she's been great. Kiera Hogan is bottom of the barrel. They don't treat her right. Allie, I don't like her as a heel, but she's good in the ring. And to be honest with you, I think they really did drop the ball with Allie because she was like a pure baby face. Like
Allie can't be a heel.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like a rare in 2019, a rare white meat baby face that guys like her because she's hot, women like her because she's inspirational. She's good in the ring. She's somewhat of a veteran, or at least in all of wrestling. Not really in Impact she is now because they changed the roster so much. But she competed on the Indies, and you know, this whole thing with giving her another depth to her character with this damn Su Yung Rosemary thing. I don't know.
I don't think they really need to overcomplicate Allie too much. She's a babyface. Right. And in fact, if this were WWE now, where they have women's tag team championships, the top tag team in all of women's wrestling should be, in my opinion, Allie and Rosemary. Just based on seeing the chemistry they've had both on Impact and on their web series.
So what are you saying about Bayley and Sasha?
It's not really their fault. It's WWE's fault for all the tumultuous last 2 years they've had on the main roster together. The constant teasing breakup and then just not explaining anything. It's similar to what they were doing with Leo Rush and Bobby Lashley, where they did this inexcusable thing of breaking them up on Elimination Chamber, and then them coming out together on Raw, and Cole saying, "Oh, they must have made up." Inexcusable. And they pulled the same shit with Sasha and Bayley for a long time. And then they gave an interview after they won the titles, and they were like, "Yes, we've had our differences." It's just complete. It's laughable. Anything they've had together as far as one-on-one on the main roster has been complete dog shit. And as a tag team, they don't really fit either because they're so different in personality. You think back to Sasha on NXT, where she's this boss character, where she's just like this bully to the rest of the division, and Bayley's like the antithesis of that. Now they're a tag team. I get that they're friends in real life, and that's cool. But maybe in a way that it does offer the contrast that Allie and Rosemary have. I just think they do it better. Maybe that's what it boils down to.
Well,
I also
yeah.
the other thing is that I don't think either of them are particularly good on the mic and have progressed in any way. And that's important to me.
Well, I was surprised that they won the titles. I know that Gib and I think
I was not.
Was he? Were you the one that said they were going to win?
I don't think I did that roundtable, but I was pretty sure they were going to win. Yeah.
I was expecting either Tamina and Nia or the Riot Squad, because I just thought that like Bailey and Sasha, I don't know, I'm kind of over them. Like now that they've won the titles, I'm kind of interested because at least they're doing something with them. There's something going on, but I don't know. Like they really neutered. Like for instance, Sasha should not be happy with this. You know, she was with Charlotte in just 2-3 years ago in one of the best rivalries on television. They were going back and forth, having great matches. I mean, she was seen as the top face female, you know, on fucking WWE TV. And now she's in a tag team with Bailey. And we know how WWE treats tag teams. And we know how they treat women who aren't competing for the women's title. So, like, it's just disappointing. And I was never a huge Sasha Banks fan to begin with. And I feel bad. So I can't imagine what her actual fans feel.
You mean like Troy?
Was he a Sasha Banks fan?
As a heel.
I didn't know he watched wrestling.
Pretty much every platform he's ever had, as far as every article he's ever written, every podcast he's ever done, he's always said Sasha needs to be. I can't really do a Troy impression.
Go ahead.
Maybe I can. He's like, Sasha needs to be a heel. Come on. Like, I don't know. That was pretty horrible.
I like.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'm with you. In kayfabe, it doesn't really make a ton of sense. But at the same time, you're debuting these tag titles. You need, when you're doing that, you need a champion that people are going to look back and hey, they were the first blah 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 champions. You're not going to look at Tamina, who shouldn't be in wrestling. She should be like working an office job or something like that. Honestly, she's just the worst. And Nia, you're not going to remember them as the first champions. You're not going to remember even the Riot Squad as the first champions, even though I like them. You probably have a better chance of better remembering the Iconics as the first champions, even though I strongly dislike them.
Well, that's another thing. The Iconics are the only genuine tag team in the women's division.
That's true.
The Riot Squad's a trio. And Mandy and Sonya were, started as a trio and by default had to become a tag team. And even then, they're not really a tag team.
They're a tag team.
Yeah, but Mandy's breaking off in their own thing, doing that shit with Naomi and.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, like the Iconics are two women that came into the fucking NXT. Really, a team, WWE, a team, and they're not even like in the ballpark of getting the tag team titles. Like, that's not going to happen, I guess, for maybe a year.
Yeah, hope so.
It's just funny.
Anyway, yeah. My point was, I really like Rosemary and Allie together for their chemistry, and with Allie as a babyface because they can bounce off of that contrast. Bailey and Sasha don't really bounce off that contrast; they're just together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you about Rosemary. It's going to be old news by the time this is listened to.
I know the news.
But Impact pipes up this returning former champion. They're going to break this news on their little press conference thing. I haven't listened to it in months because it's just getting a little incestuous to me. It's the same people. If I had anything to ask, I could get in there, but a lot of it's like guys I don't know, like this Josh Alexander guy that they brought on. He's new. He's an indie guy. I mean, people, for a new indie guy, there's not much to ask. There's nothing going on. So it's the same old bullshit. Well, they hyped this thing up. So I get on there, I'm listening. And, I figure, well, you know what? This was smart of them to do this because people aren't going to ask him anything. It's going to be real quick. And then they'll get to the big champ. Who's it going to be? Maybe Del Rio. Maybe they're bringing him back. Maybe Aries. Maybe that whole thing was a fucking work, And they build it up and it's Rosemary re-signed. Like, what the fuck is that? And you could see, like, I checked on Twitter immediately. I typed in Rosemary, and I wanted to see what these people were saying. And, the quote-unquote wrestling media. Now, obviously, I'm not labeling most of these people because these people, half of them are foreign. They don't even know who we are. But, some of them are taking the bait. We're like, oh, my God, thank God Rosemary resigned. But others are more logical and are like, why did Impact lie to us? And why did they hype this up only to disappoint us? And I just think, you and me, we defend this company a lot. But that is a vintage TNA move, what they did there.
You sound like you're pretty down on Impact.
For that, just for that instance, I mean, that was like, what are you doing? Like, why blatantly lie to everybody with this bait and switch bullshit? Why not just say, oh, we're having Rosemary and she has a big announcement? Just do that. That would be fine. TNA. No, but I'm not down on them. I like it. I like Killer Kross, man. I'm still on that train. I love Moose. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by a lot of the things they're doing. This Eli Drake, Eddie Edwards team. I think it's obviously going to lead to Eli snapping on Eddie. But instead of just doing that right away, they're building up to it. It makes sense. This LAX Lucha Brothers feud, that's been fun. Johnny Impact, having to take on all comers, that's fun. The women's division, I mean, that's good. Let me ask you this.
What did you think of the finish to their last pay-per-view with Johnny Cage doing the Austin Aries thing? Not Johnny Cage, Brian Cage. Johnny Impact, oh my God. Freudian slip. Brian Cage doing his best Austin Aries impression after the match.
What do you mean?
Well, didn't he no sell the finish?
Oh, I don't think he knows. I don't think so.
He got right back up.
But wasn't it? Didn't he get rolled up? How did he get pinned?
Oh, I can't. I forget. This was about a month ago.
Yeah, but I thought he got distracted outside the ring by those guys. And then I
don't think there were any guys. I don't remember there being any guys at ringside.
Yeah. There were Survivor. People from Survivor were distracting him when he was gonna. I don't know what he was gonna do. He was gonna go for his finish or whatever, and they were distracting him. The ref was out there, and then I think Impact rolled him up for the win.
Yeah, I don't remember a roll up. I remember him getting hit with the finish and then standing right back up and walking out.
Well,
actually, I got it right here. Hang on.
Yeah.
So Cage, I'm commentating this match right now. Here it is. So Cage is gonna suplex Impact over the ropes. Johnny, yeah. It looked like, he threw him off the top rope and it looked like he got knocked out. And then Brian Cage just gets up like nothing happened. I almost said Morrison. Johnny Impact selling the finish more than Cage is, and he won the match. And Cage is gonna get up now. He's gonna take the belt and walk around the ring for a couple seconds here, and then drop the belt and leave.
Yeah, but I think the story was that he was about to win, and then those fucking guys distracted him.
There were no guys in this. This is at Homecoming.
There were guys in the front row from Survivor. Did you watch
really?
the show?
I just saw the finish to this match.
Well, this is what I'm saying. You got to watch the show.
Okay.
There were guys in the front row.
Square Circle was losing their minds over this finish.
Because nobody fucking watched the show. This is the problem with the fucking wrestling fans. Nobody watches, and then they have an opinion on it.
Interesting. I thought they were doing like a work shoot.
No. That's just the narrative that these people want to give off. Everything made sense, and then the real finish was Killer Kross attacking right when they put the logo up. Like they always put that logo up to end the show. Killer Cross attacks and power bombs Taya into the crowd. It was a hot finish. It was a hot way to end the show.
Okay.
It made you want to see the next show. And yeah, like I said, like I'm not down on Impact. I think it's been great. But they do moves like they unnecessarily shoot themselves in the foot like that with the Rosemary thing, where they don't need to, where they damage the goodwill that they're building up. And they need to build up a lot of goodwill. Because you and me, we've been watching for a while, but most wrestling fans have completely soured on the whole product, even though there's new management.
It's been a while now, too. It's been over a year.
Yeah. And they've made changes. I mean, you can't deny it. If anybody actually watched, I called some guy out the other day. Tommy Dreamer tweeted some kind of cryptic tweet about change. And some guy who did compliment our Twitter list tweeted does that mean Impact's going to be better this year? Like some fucking idiot who hasn't watched it since 2014 or something. And I said, it was great last year. No response, of course. Nobody ever responds to me when I put them in their fucking place.
I don't know. When you look at Impact from like the last year to where they were as like TNA, and then even the Global Force Wrestling Invasion, it's not even comparable. It's a completely different product, completely different show, completely different look and feel. It's almost like it was never that company. That it was just this new company that sprouted up on the ashes of the old one, which is probably more appropriate.
And a lot of people don't give it a fair shot. They need to check it out again and see all the changes because they put out a good product. Who cares if they're in these small arenas? Who cares about they're only streaming or you can only get them on Pursuit, and then if you're not on Pursuit, you watch them on Twitch. You can't fucking watch AEW anywhere, and everybody's sucking their dick. I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But this is how it goes for you and me. We're very idealistic wrestling fans, but and very pragmatic with our thoughts. But everybody's all like on this AEW train, and I'm all for it too. I wish them all the best success, but they don't have TV yet, so. And that's a fact. That's not a knock. People will take that as a knock because everybody takes everything as a knock these days, and then they'll end up tagging us on Twitter or not tagging us and just subtweeting us like Mark White did.
Was he subtweeting us?
No, but he's a known guilty subtweeter. I'm sure that doesn't surprise you.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So, do you think they're going in the direction? I know you were talking about I forget if it was on this show or the show we did earlier, but you were talking about David Bixenspan band, talking about how Kofi's getting screwed. Do you think that's the WrestleMania match, Daniel Bryan versus Kofi?
Look, I haven't watched SmackDown in a while, but I've watched it last week because I wanted to see what they were going to do with the follow up. With Kofi, because that was exciting. I was surprised, man. It's a weird angle because Vince just for really no reason pulls Kofi. His reasoning is, I guess, Kevin Owens is a bigger star than Kofi.
It was horrible. Horrible segment.
I mean, who the hell knows? If you put them both outside, I don't know. I'm sure my mom would probably say Kofi Kingston over Kevin Owens. You know what I mean? Like if you said Bootios, I think more people would know Kofi than they would Kevin Owens. So it was very bizarre, and Kofi got no redemption out of it. Nothing. He didn't even put up a fight.
No, he just he took it. Yeah, I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, that is not how you build a babyface.
Only thing I could think of is if that's going to be the WrestleMania match. But even then, you're tearing a guy down to build him up when you can just build him up.
Exactly.
As far as that being the WrestleMania match, well, Bryan doesn't really have a lot of logical opponents that make entire sense. I mean, I would not mind an AJ Styles rematch at WrestleMania. I think they could go that way. They've fought a lot recently, though, so you could turn Samoa Joe babyface. I think that would be compelling. Because you think about it, Samoa Joe, he's like a bigger guy. Daniel Bryan can like call him fat and saying he's like the rest of the people, and then boom, there you go. Then there was another one that made a lot of sense too, but I forgot who would have fit the bill. I guess Kofi makes sense. It's just I don't know what kind of start he has as a single, even with the New Day.
Well, I think Kofi makes a lot of sense because the crowd obviously wants it. Like that Elimination Chamber, that finale, that was awesome. That was some great pro wrestling. That was shit we haven't seen in a long time. Even my girlfriend was sitting there watching it with me, and she got into that. She was like, "Wow, this is cool. Like, I want Kofi to win." She has no fucking idea who Kofi is, and she wanted him to win. And so I think, yeah, I mean, like before that match, I'll say this: before that match, even ignoring the gauntlet match, you'd be like, why the fuck would Kofi Kingston challenge for the title at WrestleMania? But you look at WrestleMania now, and it's not like that's going to headline it. I mean, like you said, you put all your big matches up there. There's so many matches on the card. And they got nobody else on SmackDown that's going to have the crowd as passionate. Like, would AJ and Daniel Bryan have a better match? Maybe. But the crowd's not going to care about AJ as much as they care about seeing Kofi finally win the world title. And our boy, Chad Gelfand, has been championing this cause for over a year.
He has. Yeah, I think at this point, Kofi versus Daniel Bryan is the match. And I think they're going to end up there. But I just don't agree with the notion of them having this contract signing. By the way, Daniel Bryan's performance throughout was fantastic. He held the same look on his face the entire 10 I think it was a 10-minute segment, but it was phenomenal. He's doing so well right now. And then Vince McMahon just come out and be like, "Hey, never mind. Here's Kevin Owens." And mind you, Kofi lasted longer in his match on Sunday than Kevin Owens did. Kevin Owens jobbed the pineapple pizza in 9 seconds. He did the job.
He did the job. I'm willing to put Daniel Bryan up there with this work and the work he's done throughout his career as a top 10 all-time wrestler. Top 10.
So you put him right up there with his mentor then? Or not his mentor, but his trainer.
Yeah. I'm putting him up there with Michaels. I think Daniel Bryan has just excelled in every role. He's constantly reinventing himself. He's constantly entertaining. He's a great wrestler. He's a unique wrestler. Like, he does different things. Like that match with Lesnar, the way he like came out, the way he was taunting Lesnar. Nobody fucking taunts Lesnar. And then the Chamber, where he was taking his time with Joe. Like, he's not rushing into it. He puts thought into everything. He makes it like must-see TV because it's so different from what everyone else is doing. And that's what I want. That's what I want to see. That's what fans want to see. So I think this current run cements him as a top 10 all-time.
It's just getting started, too. So that's pretty scary to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got WrestleMania pretty much fleshed out then. By the way, we touched briefly on the Triple H Batista angle. You like the angle?
I did, but yeah, I did like it. To me, it doesn't make sense from the point that we know Batista loves Flair. Like, that's just a fact. In storyline, in real life, we know that they're close.
Yes, they are. But there's ways you can work around that.
I know.
Easily.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they do.
You could like we don't really see Batista. I forget. I don't think we saw Batista attack Ric Flair. We just saw him pull his unconscious body out of the room. Is that right?
Right.
So we don't really have proof that Batista attacked him. It could be Flair putting on an act only to screw over Triple H at WrestleMania and be Batista's manager for a year-long run to build up to next year's WrestleMania. Could be. And that's one way you can work around that idea. The best part of it, though, was when Batista took the camera and basically told Triple H, "Can you see me now?" After Batista's been giving interviews for the last 2 years, saying he wants to come back to WWE and saying that Triple H hasn't returned his calls. Working that into it was just perfect. It was textbook pro wrestling, and I'm not at all surprised that Brother Love was behind it. I almost assumed it.
I enjoyed it. I thought, I had like my dad watching it with me. I had my brothers. We all stayed, they stayed up to watch. And it was good hook, line, and sinker. And you know what? Here's a way that we probably should have seen something crazy coming. When they showed Flair arriving to the arena, I thought that was kind of weird that they wouldn't save his first appearance in front of the live crowd. But now looking back on it, that was to give everyone at least, that moment to see him come and give the woo and him excited. Like it makes sense. At the time, I was like, oh well, maybe Becky is going to beat the shit out of him later, because why show him now? Like randomly walking with his wife out of the limo, but no, now it makes perfect sense. You got the good Flair moment, and then if you're a Flair fan and you were upset and pissed off later, you got that moment too.
Well, I doubt it'll be the last we see of him on the build up to this match. Can't wait to see what they do. Even though Triple H is way past his prime, and certainly Batista is too, being an act like a paid actor now. They're gonna make up for it with story, I think, and I'm actually looking forward to that one now.
I can't go that far.
Oh, come on.
The match itself?
Just wait. Just give it. Wait till Flair's announced as the special guest ref, and maybe he'll come around.
He is not going to be the ref. I think if they did a really short match like Goldberg and Lesnar at WrestleMania 33, or if they did like the cameos, like when H fought Sting and you had like DX and NWO coming out. If they take one of those approaches, I think it'll be a good match. If it's the standard Triple H 25-minute, he works your arm, holy shit, it's going to be awful.
You know what I want to see? I want to see them recreate their WrestleMania 21 match, step for step.
That was a long match, though.
I know.
Oh, God.
I know. I remember watching that one as a kid.
Yeah, it's not I don't know. Hopefully you're right. Hopefully the storytelling and all that makes up for it. And I agree with a lot of people online that are like, why are we wasting a Batista return on Triple H? Obviously, it's just, he wants to work with Triple H and they're friends, or I guess, I don't know.
Triple H is absolutely the way to go with Batista, because with Triple H, you guarantee that Batista is not going to have to deal with any writers. They're going to have complete creative control. They're going to be able to do whatever they want. And now you add Ric Flair into the mix in some way, shape, or form, and it's they had my full trust on this one.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll have
in the
to
ring
talk
we'll
after
see.
Mania.
In the ring we'll see.
See.
But I think the build up for this one's going to rival any build up for any other match. Maybe the main event, the presumed main event. But other than that, we'll see.
Well, they haven't had a good WrestleMania build-up since, I'd say, 30, since Daniel Bryan. And that was luck. They lucked into that.
They did.
I can't remember what the next year was Roman and Lesnar, and that was like a tug of war over the title. That sucked.
Yeah, that was lame as hell.
Last year was the weird Cena calling out Undertaker bullshit. Roman against Lesnar again. And what else was there? Oh, Rousey. Well, the Rousey build-up was weird too. That wasn't really great build-up for that match.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't really been that cool. 32 was fucking Shane McMahon coming back. They pretty much blew their load all in one night. Shane McMahon comes back, which is huge. Then he's facing Undertaker. Then it's for like control of the company. And then it's a Hell in a Cell. And that's all in like fucking 20 minutes. They could have spaced that out for 4 weeks.
Yeah, they could. They definitely could have. They definitely missed the mark on all those matches. By the way, do you think Undertaker works this year?
Not a chance.
I hope not.
No,
I hope
he's
not.
done with them. I think.
He gave one of his out of character interviews again with Pastor Ed Young,
I
and
saw.
he said that he was not done.
I think he's done with them. I think he'll do a Hall of Fame, not this year.
You think he's going to
Obviously.
show up in AEW?
No, I don't. I think he's done with. I mean, did you see him walk to the fucking stage in that interview?
Yeah, it took him forever, and he wasn't even like character walking.
Yeah, like
He was
he's
like real life
up.
walking.
This man is banged up. He's giving it all. Like he needs to relax now.
Half of what he talked about was how the human body isn't built for pro wrestling.
Yeah, it's time for him to cash in. Like, look, all like he said, 30 years of playing that character and never doing these appearances or anything. And now's the time where people are going nuts for behind the scenes content. He's the one guy to give it all. Cash in on that. Do that podcast. Do it. Do these appearances. Do it.
If Bruce did have to stop the podcast, Conrad should do one with The Undertaker.
That would be amazing.
Just The Undertaker podcast. You go and like take all the major, like maybe like top 100, 200 events in The Undertaker's career and just do a deep dive on all of them. Do a couple on Wrestlers Court even. that'd be badass, I think.
Yeah. But just seeing like Conrad put Undertaker on the spot. I don't even know what he would put him on the spot for, really. But I guess maybe holding people down, that's been a criticism in the years, but that would be a funny chemistry.
Yeah, odd bedfellows. My favorite part of the not to get off on a tangent here, but my favorite part of the Jerry Lawler podcast today, and really just any podcast that covers like the Jerry Lawler Bret Hart feud, is when they talk about Rio Rogers. It's the funniest fucking thing. The idea of Jerry Jarrett like getting such a kick out of that. I like when you do that voice.
I love the Lawler podcast. I thought it was fucking answered a lot of questions. Because for years nobody knew why they got rid of the cat, and Bruce gave a completely fresh answer. I love the stuff with Vince really loved when Lawler put his finger up coming out on the stretcher. I mean, this was a really good episode.
Yeah, it was. Maybe the best of the year so far. There's been some good ideas for episodes, but they haven't quite delivered yet. But this was a nice deep dive. The longer the better with the Pritchard podcast, I found.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but most of the time.
Well, I think you just need you need a subject. Like Lawler, there's so much there. And there's so much that only that show is going to cover. If WWE, like WWE's DVD of Lawler, they're not going to touch on half of the shit. And that's why it's not as good.
Yeah, Lawler's a good one. I also actually enjoyed the Gorilla Monsoon episode.
Oh, I did too. That was amazing because I didn't know he loved to gamble like that.
Yeah.
Like, all that stuff.
Reminds me a little bit of myself, actually.
The diabetes too?
Oh, well, not that.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Yeah, so I'm glad. We touched on it earlier. I'm glad they're going to continue that, though. I want to segue now into talking about our little wrestling estate draft.
Yes.
And just kind of go round by round and just break down everything that everybody's been doing with their picks. Now, to preface, I've talked about this on podcasts past, and you may have even read the exposition and even the round by round breakdown as far as what this concept was. But basically, we're just kind of like shooting the shit one day. We're like, what if we did like a draft with a bunch of different wrestling estate contributors and just see how that went. And then I took it a step further and said, why don't we all create a fictional promotion under the guise that the world of wrestling just had this big bang breakup and all of the talent are now free agents and is up to a worldwide wrestling talent draft to figure out where they're going to land and what their function is going to be on their new shows. So I got 12 of the. I don't want to say the best because it was the 12 people on staff, all of them, to plus one with Team Left Jab to participate in this draft, and we got some interesting results. I would say, everybody gave a pretty much unique idea for what they wanted to do with their promotion, and that was probably the most fascinating part for me. And then it was just about thinking of, hey, what's Calvin gonna do with his Glitz Glamour promotion, which his name eludes me at the moment, or what's John gonna do with his Shoot promotion that's got Paul Heyman as the authority figure, and what Team Left Jab's gonna do with his CZW XPW hybrid, and what I'm gonna do even with my Las Vegas based promotion, which I'm looking for royalties from AEW when they ever start making money. For that, just saying.
Do you have the picks pulled up?
I have. Yes.
All right.
I have the first. Well, we should eventually look to publish something that has all of the picks on one page. Or at least by like the promotion. But yeah, I've got the first couple rounds up already.
All right, good.
And then I'll get to the others. But just to recap real quick. We've got Mihalis doing World Wrestling Syndicate, which he describes as sports entertainment but better. We've got Calvin doing Champagne Championship Wrestling down south, which was like a southern type thing where he says gold and diamonds everywhere. Champagne Championship Wrestling. Juan Batista Global Championship Wrestling, which he says some will embody athletics, others will be big and strong. I'm sorry. Big and strong, and the rest will be of their own creation. And he's got Joe Rogan doing commentary with Eddie Bravo and Mauro Ranallo and Billy Corgan as the authority figure. And then Gladen's doing Deep South Wrestling, which I'm assuming he bought off Jody Hamilton for a couple pennies or something like that. Did you ever hear the story of when Simon Dean and John Laurinaitis showed up to Deep South and shut it down?
Yes, I did hear that.
Oh, that's a great story. You guys should check that out from Simon Dean's shoot interview. Steven Jackson, an international flair with International Association Wrestling. He's got Mike Tenay, Renee Young, and Cole Cabana on commentary. So he's actually got 3 different generations of people. That's pretty interesting to me. Very well described though. And then Neil Wagner, you got Anarchy Wrestling, which he describes as sports entertainment, Crash TV, and pro fucking wrestling done right. Neil's a very good writer, by the way. I like a lot of the stuff he puts out.
Yes, he is.
Chad Gelfand, Pro Wrestling Association. Mark Henry on commentary. I love that move. And he describes it as a sports-like feel with a season and playoff format spanning 5 months, April to August, with an off season, which I think is one thing that a lot of people have talked about in pro wrestling. You got Namo from Team Left Jab doing Gotham Championship Wrestling with Paul Heyman and Vince Russo on commentary. that would be interesting. I've got World Series of Wrestling, which is the Las Vegas-based promotion where we've got Champion of the Strip, and I'm going to be doing a tournament for mine. Jenna's got Sparkle Women Superstars, which is essentially WoW. Not World of Warcraft. Women of Wrestling. Yes, I had to clarify. And then we got John, you doing a Shoot, which, as you describe it, the name says it all. Promotion blending the best of MMA and pro wrestling. So that's kind of like the baseline for what everybody wants to do. And now we're going to see how they fared in the draft. So round 1, do you have it pulled up, by the way? Or
No,
okay.
I don't. But I want to preface this. I want to preface this that you and I had talked before, I think, the first round about who everyone was going to pick. And you told me you felt pretty confident in like the first, I don't think the first whole round, but like the first, maybe 5 or 6. And I did as well. I thought, the regular names that everybody would pick first. And by the third pick, our minds were blown.
And we will so get to that. Mihalis drew the first pick, and he's got Seth Rollins. And he sums it up very matter-of-factly. How much time you got? Man does it all. Terrific in-ring performer. Really good on the mic. Great as a face or heel. I agree. I think Rollins could be a fashionable number one pick. Any qualms with that?
No, not at all. I thought at the time, especially, was what? November of last year. So he was in that feud with Ambrose. It was like the top feud on Raw. So, yeah, I think obviously Rollins would definitely be a great first pick.
Calvin going Kenny Omega number 2, saying that he'll be the crown jewel of Champagne Wrestling, comparing him to the Imagine Dragons song, Natural. I like this pick, too. I thought it was a good fit for Calvin. And Kenny was actually my wrestler of the year last year. I know that he didn't exact. Who made number 1 on our top 100?
Pentagon.
That's right. And that's a good pick too. And he goes very soon, but not before Juan takes Walter number 3. Now, this is before Walter got signed to NXT UK. He had just appeared on the Steve Austin podcast, and he was still just appearing on UK independent shows, and that was it. He was never in New Japan. He never really worked on a national stage, and one could argue that he's still not in NXT UK. But that's the interesting thing about Walter is that that's all he wants out of this. He's not a guy looking to become a big star or be a centerpiece necessarily in anyone's big ass wrestling company. He just wants to work and train and live his life. But Juan takes in number 3, says he is not your average big man. True. Plus, he's the hardest chops in wrestling now. I will say this also. I think chops in wrestling got to go. I think you got to retire it.
They got to go?
Yeah, it's not a credible form of offense anymore. Everybody does it. And they just slap the guy on the chest really hard. But if I'm in a fight, I'm not going to do I'm going to do a punch or a work punch or kicks or knees or something like that. I'm not going to slap you in the chest. It's just going to make him angry and make him want to kick my ass even more. It doesn't make any sense.
That's a good
I'm going to
point.
get a lot of heat for that.
Well, I never thought of that, but yeah, I was just about to argue with it. But you're right. In a fight, why would you chop anybody?
Yeah, why would you do that? With Walter, he just slaps him as hard as he can. There's a picture on a Squared Circle right now of some dude chopping a guy in an indie event, and he slaps him on the pectoral so hard that his nipple bends in a direction that it shouldn't. So it just reminded me it was gross. So it's like I don't want to see that anymore. Ric Flair did the chops. It was a Ric Flair thing, and Ric Flair's not wrestling anymore. So you got to find your own thing to do. What'd you think of this pick?
You know what I thought? I thought this was fucking ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. I'm still shocked. My jaw has not fucking come back up from the ground.
As much potential as Walter has, I wouldn't say that his potential is as high as some of the best big men in wrestling right now. Not quite.
Third pick overall.
Then there's his promos. English is not his first language. He speaks it very well. But third overall. Anybody in wrestling you can choose from pretty much, except for 2 guys. But
And I want to go back and say I was surprised that Calvin picked Omega. I didn't think Calvin was a New Japan guy. I never really heard him talk about watching New Japan. Yeah,
that surprised me too. I thought that it would actually be Steven taking Omega number 5. I thought Calvin was going to take AJ. I think that's what I said. But in fact, it was the opposite. But then we get to number 4. Sam Glayton takes Pentagon Dark. Legend of Lucha Libre can hold a crowd like no one else in the world of pro wrestling. Yeah, fair. Pentagon is one of the hottest performers in the world right now. He's going to AEW as a tag team. I don't know about that move for him. I also don't know if WWE would have been a good move for him either. I think. Well, I don't know what to do with Pentagon. I don't know what there really is left for him to do, except maybe WWE. So,
I don't. He's not going to work in WWE. It's not going to happen.
well, I mean, he's already going to AEW, so that's a done deal. But I'm just saying, like if I'm him and I've had the great last 3 or 4 years in the Indies that he has had, and getting over in America in the way that he has, what's there left to do? And he's still a relatively young guy, so make that money. That's what I would do. Make that money and see if you can hack it in WWE in a way that Mystico couldn't, in a way that Rey Mysterio could.
I think he enjoys being on all these different shows and working for all these different companies. He's probably making great money doing that, all that freedom, and every company's using him correctly. They're all putting him in a prominent spot. He gets to work with Phoenix. I mean, they're putting on fantastic matches. They're probably, aside from the Young Bucks, one of the most popular tag teams in the world. So I think this was a natural move for him. Going to WWE is such a risk for any foreign talent. Look at the track record. Rey Mysterio is the gold standard. There's nobody near him. And I saw somebody, I don't know, they might have commented on our tweet or whatever, talking about Yokozuna being a great use of Japanese talent. He's fucking Samoan. Like,
who said that?
I don't know. It wasn't anybody on our staff. It was like a random person.
Probably the dude with the Warriors logo for his Twitter account that said that some sort of Corrigan wrote that article.
Some sort of Corrigan.
Ugh. Nausea. Steven takes AJ at number 5. A good fit for Steven, and a great pick. AJ is one of my favorite wrestlers going today. He's old, but he's also AJ Styles. So I don't have a problem with that.
That's another interesting pick because Steven doesn't watch WWE.
He doesn't, but he does know enough to know how good AJ was outside of WWE. And when you consider the fact that he's only gotten better since then, it's really remarkable.
But this goes to show you how completely off base you and I were with these picks. I mean, people are picking things that we know, for people that read the site, they probably don't know everybody as well as we do. I did not see some of these names going the first round.
Well, here's one. At number 6, we got Jay Lethal going to Neil.
See, that's like another, that's an odd one.
I thought it was odd.
Yeah.
Jay Lethal's a great talent, but when you have your pick of the litter of pretty much any pro wrestler in the world to build around, I'm not building around Jay. Jay would probably be like a mid-carder in the best wrestling company that I could think of in my head.
Yeah, I mean, I just Neil is a Ring of Honor guy, so you got to figure that. But I did not. I'm telling you, man, these names. What I thought was like a lot of WWE guys, and then the Elite. I thought that was going to make up the first round, and that has not been the case.
It was not the case. Chad Gelfand takes the Velveteen Dream at 7th overall. To put in perspective, I had Velveteen Dream pegged for maybe taking him in the 3rd round. Because I have the way that I did all my picks was I pretty much designed my show and then was drafting talent to fill the spots in the show, much like a director would cast actors to play in their movie.
Yeah, I got you.
And I had a spot specifically pegged for him, and that ended up going to someone else that we'll talk about here coming up in a little bit. But Chad takes him at number 7. I don't have a huge problem with this one because as far as like the ceiling that a lot of guys have in wrestling, I don't think any ceiling is higher than that the Velveteen Dream right now.
Well, I'm not completely on the Velveteen Dream bandwagon, but I understand.
That's because you don't watch NXT.
I watch the takeovers. And that's all you need to watch. You don't need to watch the shows. The takeover gives you the video package. You're all set.
You're not wrong.
I'll say this. I'm kind of surprised he went first round, but not surprised because I know how popular he is.
Yeah, and then he's only 23 years old, so there's that too.
Yeah, but you are the only one I think that focused on age.
No, Chad references his age in his description of the pick.
Of Velveteen?
Yeah, he says at just 23 years old, you have someone who already has all the tools, charisma, mic skills, ring proficiency, and with even more potential to realize.
Well, you and Chad, then you guys are drafted from a sports mentality.
Well, I believe Chad's was the one where he had the playoffs in mind.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think Calvin factored in age too because I had conversations with him in person about this, and I think I mentioned it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's a good point." So,
well, I know you guys are boys, so go ahead.
All right. Team Left Jab taking Joey Janela. Not surprising, knowing Sam's taste in wrestling and life in general.
No, that's not surprising at all. He loves Janela. Janela even went on his show. So, yeah, that makes sense. And it's a good pick for his company, too.
Janela seems like a cool dude.
Absolutely. I'm still heartbroken that him and Penelope are not together.
What do you mean they're not together?
They broke up.
But they're both going to AEW.
Get with the fucking program over here. Where do you don't know that the Invisible Man died?
You got to explain this one to me. I know who the Invisible Man is.
He's dead.
Was
dead.
No, was. I knew who he was because he's dead now.
He's dead. I was Squared Circle didn't tell you this. That there's police are trying to investigate who murdered the Invisible Man.
No, they didn't. Not this time.
Well, listen. Him and Penelope broke up in like September.
When was All In? Wasn't that September?
No. Yeah, it was.
Really?
Yeah. Well, they're still friends. They're still gonna work together and stuff, but they're not a real couple anymore.
Oh, that's too bad.
Right?
Yeah. I think I just died a little bit inside.
There you go.
All right, my pick. I take Adam Cole. Adam Cole was my pick from the get-go. There were guys on the board that I was toying with the idea of taking because I didn't think they'd be there, and they did end up being there. Looking ahead, actually, no, I felt it was pretty justified in this pick. Adam Cole's a real deal, man. He's he can play face, he can play heel, and if you want someone that's going to be a great first champion, we talked about this with the women's tag team titles. You need someone that's going to hold that belt with pride, and someone that people are going to look at and remember them as the first champion. TNA thought they hit the boat on that when they made Ken Shamrock their first champion, but they didn't realize how fast his star would fade after he got out of pro wrestling. Adam Cole, though, only 29. Best years are definitely ahead of him. And I called him the ace in the World Series of Wrestling, which is like a pun because poker.
Well, I'm not going to roast you anymore for your pick. You know how I feel about Adam Cole.
How do you feel about Adam Cole?
You know, I don't see the hype. You know, I look at him as like an Al Snow level.
What? What? Get the fuck out. We're ending this podcast right now. No, just kidding. Really, you see him like Al Snow?
No, I just said that to get you riled
up. All right. No offense, Al.
Yeah.
Remember when Al Snow said that Dave Meltzer was the greatest worker in the history of the wrestling business?
But I think Al's right. I believe that.
Well, he also said that Hogan versus Andre was the best match of WrestleMania 3.
Because it drew the most money.
Yeah. Well, best match, though.
Right. Well, that would
most significant match, yes.
That would be subject to opinion, best match. And I agree with him that Dave Meltzer could make a great case for the greatest worker of all time.
Yeah, it's like when I think of like workers and I think of like ratings in like Extreme Warfare Revenge, which is like this pro wrestling booking game I play sometimes. Dave would be 100 brawl, 100 tech, 100 speed. He's the best worker.
I mean, look, like Al said,
100 charisma.
This guy has never taken a bump yet. Has drawn all this money and has all these people believing in every word he says.
He's better than Ric Flair. He's better than Shawn Michaels.
I mean, think about it. The greatest trick the devil ever played.
He's better than Daniel Bryan.
Meltzer's in the top 10 for sure.
We should do a list like that one day and just include him. I think that would be a great rib.
Well, my idea for the end of this year is instead of doing another top 100 wrestlers, I say we do everybody gives their top 100 for all time.
I'm down.
Right? I think that would be a fun spin on it.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So then Jenna takes Natalya, which was a surprise, but not a surprise.
Now, why was it not a surprise?
Because I know Jenna. I know how highly she thinks of Natalya.
But what is happening?
And Steven too.
Steven put him in the round table. She's picking her. And then what are these people seeing? Steven doesn't even fucking watch the show. And Jenna, I'm not sure if she watches every week. I watch every week almost, and this woman hasn't done shit in a decade.
John, these people, they don't play fantasy sports like you and me. They didn't. I think the biggest mistake that people made going into this process was you need to think about who you can get in each round and who's going to be the best value when you get to that round. Natalya, you could have. Well, actually, Steven would have snapped. You know what? I take all that back. Steven would have for sure snapped Natalya up in the second round. Although Jenna was picking before him. But still, if she waited, Steven would have got her. I think she may have known that. Look, Natalya is a great mechanic. That's what she is now. I think about what they tried to do with Jim the Anvil Neidhart's glasses. And I laughed hysterically at the TV when that happened. And I shouldn't be. I shouldn't have been. But I couldn't help myself because it was so poorly done. And her acting was not good. I mean, it didn't help that actually fuck it. There was no way that could have worked. But it was one of the worst angles of the entire year. And I'd put it as one of the worst things I'd seen in women's wrestling next to Tamina.
Walter, Natalya, and Adam Cole all went in the first round. I mean, what is happening here?
So what is your problem with Adam Cole anyway?
Well, go on to the next person. I want to hear who next person said.
Would you like to do the honors?
No. I want to hear your impression.
All right. John took Ronda Rousey.
Oh my God! Come on now.
No, I'm not gonna build that up.
No pizzazz.
No. John took Ronda. That's what happened. Moving. No, I'm kidding. No, I thought that was a good pick. I think Ronda is a great first round pick. As the building block, and she was really a best fit, I think, for you. I would say Jenna, and I would say Calvin. Anybody else, she would have worked in their promotion. Then again, this was before we knew that Ronda was going to be potentially taking some significant time off after WrestleMania. But not knowing any of that, assuming that she's not with that Yeti Travis Brown. Yeah, hate that guy. For real.
People have to see where I'm coming from. I'm sweating bullets as soon as I realize Jen is selecting all women, and Ronda is like my top pick. And I was also worried. I wasn't as worried about Brock. I thought one of you guys would pick him just to fuck with me, but Ronda, I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna get her." And then you and me are sitting there, and we're like, "Well, she's either gonna pick Becky or Charlotte or Ronda for her first pick," and it's fucking Natalya.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
My God. That's why
Well,
this was fun, because this was the most unpredictable thing of all time.
yes, it was. I didn't really get sniped either, which was the amazing thing. But no, Ronda's a great first round pick. It's someone you can build around. It's someone that has a lot of potential, based on her current name recognition and as she improves in the ring. One thing I do not like about Ronda, besides her being who she is that she has to rehearse every match, like move for move. It's very DDP esque. I much prefer talents that can call it in the ring. And honestly, I've never been in the ring, so but if I was, I would force myself to be someone that can be adept at calling it in the ring, because that's like your net. And if you don't have the ability to do that, it's like working without a net. Because if you blank out one time and you can't improv, then you're fucked, and the match is shot. And Ronda has had some stinkers because of that.
Well, I'm not gonna comment on her preparation for the matches, but I will say that the most importantly, what she brings is publicity to my company.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what kind of publicity are you getting from Natalya? Are you getting from Adam Cole?
Oh, come on!
Are you getting from Walter?
What
kind of Germany's watching you guys? And then I don't know, you get a couple indie fans in their basements watching your company. You got Velveteen Dream has the NXT audience. I don't know. Who's the next pick, though? I hear the next pick's a really good one.
Well, I want to get back to Adam Cole for just a second. I took Adam Cole because he's a guy you're going to put in a suit, you're going to put the title belt around his shoulder, and you're going to parade him around the Las Vegas Strip, and people are going to look at that guy. They're going to look at him. They're going to point at him and say, "Who's that guy? What's his name?"
And we're going to say he's the one that takes the keys to park your car.
Well, the next pick wasn't a surprise, but honestly, this time I can't introduce him the way that you can. So if you would like to do the honors, you have the floor.
My second round pick and the first overall in the second round is the only UFC, NCAA, WWE champion in the history of this world, a once-in-a-lifetime athlete. He's the man that ended the streak. He's the beast incarnate. He's Brock Lesnar.
Yes, he is. And a good pick.
Obviously, that was the best pick of the entire draft. You don't have to comment any further.
Okay, then I won't.
There you go.
All right. No, Brock is arguably made more sense for you than Ronda. Both, very obvious 1 and 2. Yeah, someone could have taken one of them to fuck with you back in the first round, but in the first round, it's not really a pick you use to do that with. It's a pick that you got to just do what's best for whatever your vision is. And luckily, it worked out for you. That's all I can say.
You're not kidding.
Jenna takes Toni Storm next. Great pick. I would have put Toni. If I were to I didn't take any women in my draft because my narrative, it didn't really fit my narrative.
Sexist, that's why.
Yeah,
misogynist over here.
Sexist, racist, No, I'm not even Republican technically.
Who goes to Vegas to watch all dudes wrestle? That's what I want to know.
Wrestling fans. Toni Storm. If I were to rank how I would draft the women, I would say you have your top 3 in Charlotte, Ronda, Becky, and then your next 3 could be any of Asuka, who's a little bit older, Asuka, Tessa Blanchard, and Toni Storm. So I think this is a good pick. I think Toni's fantastic. She'll probably be on the main roster in a year, and when she is, she'll be 23. So put that in perspective.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was a great pick. I was happy to see it. I'm sure other people wanted her, so that was smart of Jenna to scoop her up while she could.
Yep. my second pick, I take Pete Dunne, and in this description, I say shame on John for dressing down Adam Cole. Yeah, seriously, shame on you for that. Pete Dunne is awesome. It's been interesting to see how his character's evolved since coming to WWE. I would be remiss to say that I was a bigger fan of his when he was just a straight up heel, and he was just this troublemaker style character. He's just causing trouble on all levels, and he's just like fucking with all the people in the UK tournament, and I call him the Draco Malfoy of wrestling. I think he could be that good of a heel. And you know, a lot of people compare him to Fit Finlay, William Regal. I think his upside's a lot greater than them when you consider his current age and just his look and presence in the ring. Those guys are great workers, and Finlay could send a message like nobody's business. But Pete Dunne has the spark that I think those guys didn't necessarily have that would have taken them to that next level.
I have no problems with the Pete Dunne pick, but I think we should clarify again why you decided to choose no women for your company.
Because I'll tell you why. In my script, you want to give everybody a variety of matches. If I just do a tournament, then I'm kind of limiting myself. So I want to have enough wrestlers to do a tournament, do a tag team championship match, and to do a personal feud. So I just kind of ran out of spots. Now, if I had 2 or 3 more selections, I would have picked at least 2 women to do a match with. And those 2 women probably would have been Becky Lynch and Tessa Blanchard.
Now, could you not do the personal feud with the 2 women?
It just wasn't what I had in mind.
I see. I see.
Like once I figured out what the personal feud was going to be, I was like, I have to do that. That as myself being a fan, it was just something I had to do. I wasn't the only one not to take any women, though. I know that.
I will make sure Lola Bradbury sends her mean tweets to you.
Who?
Lola Bradbury. She follows us.
Who's Lola Bradbury?
Listen,
Ray's daughter.
This girl is she's a very feminist wrestling fan. She's got a growing following, and she will most certainly give you a piece of her mind.
She doesn't have to watch or read.
But we want her to. We want her to read.
Yeah, well, she can read yours. How about that?
That's fine.
She could read about your piece of shit promotion.
Whoa, now that's a shoot.
Yeah. Team Left Jab's the next pick. He takes Sami Callihan. Again, not a surprise if you know Sam. He talks about wanting to see him have a return to his quote-unquote CZW Switchblade conspiracy days.
We need to roll back there. I didn't even catch that comment you made. Who else didn't draft a woman?
I was not the only one.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Yeah,
maybe. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, Sami Callihan's a good pick for Sam. And I don't know if he and Joey Janela ever had like a prominent feud, but that would make a lot of sense.
I love it. I think it's perfect.
When Sam talks about Switchblade Conspiracy, that was actually the name of Callihan and John Moxley's tag team in CZW. So ironically, Dean Ambrose is the next pick, Chad. Now at this time, Ambrose looked great. He had the new look, and it seemed like he was going to be in for this big heel run that really fell flat in the worst way. So it's anybody's guess as to where he would have gone at that point, but I like the pick.
Yeah, I like the pick too. I mean, it made sense. And you look at Chad's roster, you got Velveteen Dream and Dean Ambrose. Couldn't think of two more contrasting styles of wrestler.
What you want?
Yeah.
What I want anyway. Neil takes Tommaso Ciampa. One of the best going in wrestling today, and I always remark at how cool it is to see how far he's come from being like almost an afterthought Ring of Honor with all the top stars they had there at the time with Kevin Owens and El Generico and Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly and all these guys like taking precedent over him, when in reality they could have been pushing him to be something huge. And he's really come into his own. He's in peak physical condition and one of the best heels in wrestling right now. Top 5 for sure.
Natural pick. I would have thought he would have went maybe in the first round, but no, this made complete sense. That was a good pick.
Steven takes Zack Sabre Jr., number 18. I like Zack Sabre because he's different. Like, yeah, he kind of lacks charisma. It is interesting to see his promos though when he does get worked up, because he can cut a good promo. But what he lacks in the character stuff, he more than makes up for in the technical aspect in a way that nobody in wrestling does, and that makes him unique. And unique is what you want.
Steven and Zack Sabre Jr., I believe, hail from the same homeland, so it makes sense that he would carry the banner of the International Wrestling Alliance, or whatever the hell it's called.
International Association Wrestling.
Oh, I was close.
Gladen takes Jeff Cobb, which was interesting to me because Cobb is a little bit older than you'd think he is, just based on how long he's been popular. As Jeff Cobb and Matanza from Lucha Underground. Gladen says he's been having the hottest year of any wrestler in terms of big wins and feuds. New Ring of Honor champion. He's one of the guys that Ring of Honor signed in their big talent acquisition phase. What do you think of Jeff Cobb, John?
Way too early to be drafted, but Gladen's a big Ring of Honor guy, so that makes sense.
Okay. Juan takes Will Ospreay. So Juan loaded up on English wrestlers in this draft, and I'm pretty sure he's not English. Just a hunch.
Steven.
No, I'm thinking of Juan.
Well, who was his first round was Walter, right? Now, where's Walter from?
He's from Austria, but he is like a UK wrestler.
So I guess Juan just loves that UK scene.
I guess. I think to Juan, UK independent wrestling is like ECW to me.
Oh, okay. I like that comparison.
Or like normal people. Will Ospreay in the second round makes a lot more sense than Walter in the first round, I think. And I don't even like Will Ospreay. I think he's a punchable face. I've seen him. He was someone. There was a British. There were a couple British women that Will Ospreay got into Japan, and one of them went home for like a funeral or something like that, and he like dressed them down on Twitter. He was very impolite and rude.
Oh, I saw that. I did see that.
Yeah, people in Square Circle were chewing him up for that.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think that stuff should have been handled in public. I think they should have handled that
right.
wrong.
Absolutely. But as far as Will goes, as far as athleticism, he's kind of like what him to wrestling today is kind of like what AJ Styles was back in 04, 05. Although I've always preferred AJ Styles of that era over Will Ospreay personally, because I like the guy more. But I think Will has untapped potential as a heel.
Well, that's because you and AJ are both flat earthers.
I'm not a flat earther. Did you see the Netflix video clip?
No.
Oh,
No.
there's a documentary that just came out on Netflix, and they had like a montage in the beginning of people talking about like flat Earth, and they included the clip from Talking Smack where
No, they
Daniel
didn't.
Bryan's like, "So AJ, why don't you tell everybody about how you're a flat earther?" And then AJ's like, I don't think the Earth is flat, but I think you got to look at some things."
So they included that in there?
Yeah, right.
That's
They
crazy.
sandwiched that between like a Bill Nye clip and something else. I swear to God, I'll send you the link after this.
That's
Very
awesome.
funny stuff. Calvin takes Shinsuke Nakamura. We were actually walking out of NXT when he made this pick.
I'm
good
glad you
pick.
helped him along. I'm glad you really sped up this process.
Well, that's what I was trying to do. Shinsuke is a good pick. A little on the older side, but you can't deny his appeal to the American audience. That's why WWE's put him in the spot that he's in. Now, he should probably be higher on the card, in my opinion. And honestly, when I was like fantasy booking him coming in after he got signed, it was really more like I'm bringing him in on top to work at WrestleMania, and he's gonna stay that way the rest of the time. And then maybe I'll do what he did in New Japan, where he picks up the Intercontinental title or the U.S. title, and then carries that for a while and makes it feel like a main event title, like a 1A to the WWE Championships one. But he's still Shinsuke Nakamura, regardless of what they're doing with him right now. He's still a very talented fellow, and I like the pick.
Well, I will say this. For what Calvin's looking for with this glitz and glamour, Shinsuke certainly fits in that mold with his theatrics and crazy personality. And then we know that Calvin's a big Shinsuke fan. That was the first article he ever wrote for the site back in November of 2017. So a natural fit for Calvin and Shinsuke.
Good memory. And then to round out the second round, we had Mihalis taking Kazuchika Okada. Now, Okada is someone that I felt should have gone in the first round. You know, people like Brad Shepard may not think that Japanese talent can connect with American audiences. I both agree and disagree with that. I think it just depends. And it depends on the booking that they're put in. Like, you look at guys like Funaki and Yoshitatsu in WWE, they had no chance. Also, Yoshitatsu's not very talented. But Okada is one of the top 5 workers in the world, no question about it. And that's you might not. I don't know if you agree with that.
I don't.
He's got. I think his dropkick rival's Randy Orton's probably better. Have you ever seen him do a dropkick?
I have. I watched his matches with Omega. You know, I wasn't impressed, but I was shocked that Mihalis picked Okada. I didn't think Mihalis even knew who he was.
Well, he knew. He definitely knew who he was because he said, "Just watch his matches with Kenny Omega. I need no further explanation."
I know. I was amazed, man. I really had everybody's picks way off.
Let's do the third round to wrap up this analysis, and then we can do more another time if we want. But that'll give us an even 3 for the night. Mihalis coming back around, takes Cody Rhodes. What do you think of that?
I think it's another good pick, although I was surprised because Cody, you know, like Mihalis admittedly really only watches WWE. So I expected all these picks to be the top guys in WWE. So for him to throw an Okada and a Cody, that threw me off the game. I wasn't, you know, I agree with the pick, third overall Cody, of course. I told you I thought he would have went in the first round.
Cody, I see, is more of a 4th or 5th round guy.
Wow, you really are shitting on AEW.
No, I'm not shitting on him. It's just the ring work does hold him back in comparison to guys like that have like Okada and Nakamura and AJ Styles and all those other dudes. That's all. But I think he's a valuable piece that you could definitely do something with.
What? Who was Calvin's third round?
Charlotte Flair. Not a surprise, given Calvin's the construct of his promotion. He says she has pedigree. She has the name. Charlotte Flair has dominated the WWE women's division, and she did it with relative ease. In Champaign, Charlotte will bring the glamour and her natural talent to our women's division.
That could, statistically, I don't know if that's the right word, but that's probably one of the best picks overall.
Best value.
Best value. Because for anyone that wants to have a woman on their show, Charlotte's a top pick. She went third round, so people could have picked her in the second round. They didn't. And she completely fits what he's looking for. So that really that he hit all cylinders on that one.
Yeah, I would liken it to taking like Michael Thomas, falling all the way to the third round, taking him and then being happy.
And not making it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Oh wait, I did that. I won that league. Juan Batista. Hiroshi Tanahashi. He's the most decorated IWGP heavyweight champion, and although an old veteran, he's still got plenty left in the tank. He has a few tricks up his sleeve, and also the best air guitar. See, now, Tanahashi, I would think, despite his age, I would say would be a higher pick than Cody, in my mind.
Really?
Dude, Tanahashi's one of the best in the world. So is...
But more people know Cody.
Mm.
You can't argue that. That's not arguable.
I don't know.
People know Cody. More people do not know Tanahashi.
You know what? We're gonna need to post a poll, I think, when this is all said and done.
You're too deep in the wrestling bubble if you believe more people know Tanahashi than Cody Rhodes.
I think it'd be about equal.
What?
Personally.
How in the world?
Years of Tanahashi dominating.
He has no U.S. presence.
Doesn't matter.
Well, it does matter.
It doesn't matter. It matters if he's just a mid-card guy in Japan, but he's been main event for like 10 years running.
If you ask more people in the world, they would know Cody Rhodes.
We should do that.
You want that to be a Twitter poll? I'll make it a Twitter poll.
I do.
This is the most ridiculous statement you've ever made.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. We'll see about that.
Tanahashi has no U.S. presence. Cody works in New Japan and
That's
in
not
the
true.
US.
Tanahashi does not have no U.S. presence.
What? How? Go ahead. He appeared in a few shows. How would you describe that?
Yeah, they came to Long Beach.
I mean, come on, no, that's not.
You know where that is?
Cody worked on top in Japan and worked on top in the U.S.
He didn't work on top in Japan.
Well, high up there.
Not as high as Tanahashi.
No, right, but compared to the U.S., he didn't do anything.
No, but we'll see about that. I really think that more people would say, yeah, I know Tanahashi. He's the John Cena of Japanese wrestling.
But Cody is wrestled in both. People that don't follow Japanese wrestling will have no idea who Tanahashi is.
We'll see.
Are you? Hell, how would they know if they don't watch it? How would they have any clue?
Dirt sheets.
But that's like a you know what I mean? Like that's
PWI.
Come on now. Nobody reads PWI anymore. That's just.
Oh, how dare you?
You know that's true.
How dare you? Yeah, I think it was about the time they took them off the shelves at grocery stores.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gladen takes Bandito, number 26. A little high for me.
Yeah, I
agree.
High.
I personally, I was taking this next guy over Bandito. Steven Jackson taking Ray Phoenix.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his. I don't think he's that far off of Pentagon at all. In the ring.
He made a good case for being a top guy last year, one of the top wrestlers. He had a great year.
Yeah, I'm big on him. I'll say this though. When Lucha Bros signed to AEW, and people were like, "Oh, what a great signing!" and I was like, "Who's the Lucha Bros?" I just know them as Pentagon and Ray Phoenix. Because
Well,
Lucha Bros could be anybody, any pair of Lucha guys.
but they've been branded, and they've been branded as the Lucha Bros.
Yeah, somehow that went over my head.
You
But
were too busy watching Tanahashi matches.
yeah, I was. But dude, Tanahashi though, come on, high fly
Over
flow,
Cody?
high fly flow.
This is asinine. Cody's father was Dusty Rhodes.
And
More people are going to know Cody than they're going to know Tanahashi based off that alone. The argument is not who the better wrestler is. I think that's what you're debating.
No.
That.
No. This started by me saying that I would take Tanahashi over Cody.
Right.
And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he is a better wrestler. And I think that if I were to draft him to my promotion and force him to work in America for a year, he would get over and definitely be a bigger star than Cody.
No way, no chance. But the debate is who do more people know, right? Isn't that the debate?
That is the debate. And all I'm saying is I think it's a lot closer than you think. I think it would be about 50-50.
Oh my! I can't wait to post this. I can't wait.
If it's like Cody 80-20, I'll be pretty surprised.
I say it's Cody 70-30.
We'll see. We will see. Neil takes the Young Bucks next. The stipulation was that you can take tag teams, as long as they are tag teams, but you also have to use them as a tag team on your show. You can't take Cesaro and Sheamus and put them in separate matches, for example.
Right.
I don't like the Young Bucks very much. As far as in the ring goes, they seem like great guys. I don't like their comedy much either. So you're probably asking yourself, well, then what's there left to like about them? I don't know. I respect their entrepreneurship abilities.
Yep.
But I remember I talk about this all the time whenever I bring up the Young Bucks, but back on the WrestleDelphia podcast, heated debate between, I don't remember if I was on the show or you were on the show, but Evan Cross was there and Whited was there, and they were
I remember this.
They were having a heated debate over who was the best tag team in the world, and they were both in Ring of Honor at the time. They were both feuding. It was the Young Bucks and Red Dragon, and this was probably, I want to say, 2015.
Probably
2015, 2014, 2015. I would lean red. I would have at that time. I was leaning Red Dragon just because I prefer that style a little bit more. Whited loved the Young Bucks.
That was a great debate.
It was. That was it was good enough that it stuck out in my mind.
Yeah,
I was able to use it here. But
anytime Evan the Boss Cross gets mad, though, I find it to be the best thing ever.
Yeah, he really took it to mark on a couple occasions.
You need to discuss Dana Warrior joining the creative team.
Yeah, I still have to do that.
Yeah.
I wonder how he's doing. There was another time where they got into a really heated argument, and Evan ended up telling him that's life or something like that.
I love it.
Yeah, and you don't even know about the Bernie, like when White went on the Bernie Sanders rant.
For or against?
For.
And Evan was against?
Hard for. No, Evan wasn't there. It was Whited, myself, and Mark Masick. And Whited just went on a tear. Like the whole, you know how he would do the break in the middle of the podcast for no fucking reason?
I do know.
Well, when he came back, the entire second half of the podcast was him just talking about the pros of a Bernie Sanders presidency.
Oh, good times.
Yeah. Anyway, Yeah, Young Bucks are a valid pick though because their notoriety is so great and their social media following is so great, and you could put them on top in a tag team main event, and you draw certainly. I may not personally like the match it yields, but it doesn't really matter. They're a good pick.
I agree. I think it's a great pick, especially where third round. I love it. I think it's great.
Gelfand takes Ricochet at 29. Good pick. I think Ricochet and Will Ospreay are on similar levels, and that's not because they had that ridiculous match a couple years ago that everybody tore apart. And I wasn't particularly a big fan of it either. But I, as far as being able to work like a wrestler and not like a gymnast, I think Ricochet is a lot further along than Will is. So in a way, I think this was a borderline value pick, if not right where he needed to be.
Yeah, no, and I've watched both first two seasons of Lucha Underground, so I've got a deeper appreciation for Ricochet. And I think he's fantastic, and I'm glad to see that he's doing well on the main roster so far.
He is. Well, I mean, it's only been 2 weeks.
Yeah, but you couldn't say the same about EC3, and he was, he had his 2 weeks.
How's he doing now?
Terribly. He doesn't do anything.
Well, great.
He lost to Ambrose.
Well, he beat Ambrose and lost to him.
Yeah, well, I mean, what how does that help anybody?
Doesn't. Moving on. A lot of people compared Lio Rush to Ricochet after Ricochet went to NXT. But then Lio went to WWE shortly after that, and now he's on the main roster. And he's also the third pick of Team Left Jab. Sam says of him, one of the most athletic and charismatic wrestlers in the sport today. In GCW, he will return to being a major player for the world title and not a comedy act like he is now in WWE. What do you think of that?
I had never seen a Lio Rush match until this past Monday when he fought Finn Balor.
Jeez.
Yeah.
He's a good worker. Problem with Lio Rush.
Match.
Yeah. Problem with Lio Rush is his size mainly. He's just so short. Like so short. He's about as tall as the doorknob on my door. Like that high off the ground.
But when you compare him to Callahan and Joey Janela on a Left Jab's roster, I mean that's fine.
It's a great fit for him because when it came to doing the indies, Lio Rush's best stuff, promo and match was with Joey Janela, in my opinion.
All right.
Lio Rush was a babyface for a while after debuting because he is very young. And then he turned heel with an all-out assault on Joey Janela, called him skinny fat, and pretty much just trashed him for being a garbage wrestler.
Damn.
It's a great promo. Gotta find that. My pick in the third round, Matthew Riddle.
You stole my pick.
I did. It didn't make a lot of sense for you. Riddle is what I'm putting him in the spot that I was going to put Velveteen Dream, basically.
I don't. Any good thing you're going to say about Riddle, I agree. He was. If you were patient and maybe let me have my moment, I could have him. But nope, you screwed it up.
Sorry about your damn luck. He's very unique. He's a very unique personality. He wore the flip flops on his first night in there with the suit, and Triple H loved it. He's got a great story to tell with his family. They're really, really giving him the rocket ship with a slow burn, though. You can tell that in a year down the line, Matt Riddle's going to be main eventing takeovers, 100%. But right now they're just working him in, and they debuted him in a great way against Cassius Ohno in TakeOver LA. Quick match which actually turned out to be a homage to a match that Riddle did with Trent Seven over in Progress, where basically Seven came out and he talked a bunch of shit on him, and then they had a match, and Riddle beat him with the knockout knee in 6 seconds. So people started calling Trent 7 Trent 6 for that reason.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. He's talking in interviews about Brock Lesnar, which is great. A lot of people, Dave Meltzer says he reminds him of Kerry Von Erich in terms of look.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, and I just see a lot of potential there. Definitely a guy that could become my top babyface for sure. And someone who can help right away too. It's not a case of Mark Henry coming into WWE, then paying him all that money, and he's still learning how to wrestle at the same time. He's not a finished product, but he's polished enough to where he can contribute right off the bat.
Well, he sure would have looked nicer on shoot, but that's okay. No
Disagree.
bitterness.
Disagree. Disagree. Dude, it's Las Vegas. Las Vegas is the fight capital of the world.
Well, when I think of Las Vegas, I think of prostitution, and you're not offering any of that, so I don't understand.
I disagree. I think of gambling, and I think of beautiful women, and
well, where are the beautiful women? They're not going to be at the wrestling show. They're going to be at Shoot, though. You all want to come there. We might fucking go to Las Vegas. I'm not against it. We may invade.
You can't run my town.
Oh, please.
I'm gonna make T-Mobile Arena what Vince McMahon made Madison Square Garden.
Well, you're sure not going to do it with Adam Cole.
We'll see about that.
Who'd Jenna have? Did she pick
Becky Lynch?
Tamina at this point? Who was next?
Becky Lynch.
Christy Hemme? Who did she have?
Dude.
No, well, listen. Becky Lynch probably should have went before this.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Jenna benefited here from not a lot of people going on a bit of a run with female wrestlers yet. So she was gifted. The woman who would have been number one on my list, I would say, if I were to rank the top three, I'd rank them Becky 1, Ronda 2, Charlotte 3.
Well,
I could see you ranking them the opposite way.
No, I would put Becky number one right now because she's, super popular.
She's the real deal.
Yeah.
But since you mentioned Tamina, I got to go on a mini rant. How does Tamina have a job? Honestly,
you know how she has a job.
No, I don't. Enlighten me.
You don't know how Tamina Snuka has a job?
Yeah, but her father's like disgraced in wrestling.
No, that's not true at all. Wrestling, he's not disgraced.
You're right.
They put the tribute out for him.
I remember. Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah. No, Vince.
That's a good point.
Turning a blind eye to that.
Yeah, and it's going to keep Tamina employed for the next 10 years. Honestly, she should be working. I said this before. She should be working an office job.
I'll tell you this. I see why they put her with Nia Jax, maybe to have Nia rub off on her. But in the long run, I think that's only going to hurt Nia Jax, who they seem to have all these big plans for.
Tamina comes out, that music, Tamina, and she's just expressionless all the time.
It's pretty bad.
It's talking about a charisma vacuum. I don't think much of Nia Jax either, but at least she tries. You can
she
see
does
that.
try. Yeah, absolutely.
Tamina doesn't try like that. Give that spot to literally anybody else.
Yeah.
And then you wrap up the third round with Filthy Tom,
the current MLW World Heavyweight Champion.
Yes, but not at the time.
No, but I knew. I was well aware.
No, yeah, I mean, Tom Lawler has pretty good potential in pro wrestling. I think maybe not Matt Riddle good, but he can make some noise. I think he's a bit of a coup for MLW right now.
Tom
Um,
was going to be my 4th-round pick, but somebody fucked that up.
I mean, for you, a 3rd-round pick and 4th-round pick, there's really no difference.
Well, I don't have who I want. So then my later rounds had to be adjusted. And you're not the only one to steal one of my guys. I think Steven stole one of my guys in the Legends round.
Yeah, who was that?
I think Steven picked Haku, who I thought nobody would pick.
Yeah, he did.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, what the fuck? All my picks.
Oh, that's incredible. But yeah, those are the first 3 rounds, and of them, I thought everybody kind of picked the guys and gals that were best fitting for their promotions through 3 rounds. Your girl Janet or whatever her name isn't gonna like the fact that only 3 out of 11 participants picked women.
We're talking about Lola. What did you call her, Janet?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm telling you. Well, I would tell everyone to get excited for the fantasy cards, but that's clearly not happening for another 3 months, so I don't know.
Now the fantasy cards are coming. You don't have mine yet.
Yours might be. I don't know if anyone else is.
No, I've been putting a lot of work into mine. I'm actually I'm giving all my wrestlers I gave them all unique theme songs.
Okay.
By artists that I'm paying for the rights to use them in kayfabe, like
okay.
ECW.
You could have used that money towards advertising on Dinner with King.
You know what though? Where do you think Dinner with the King ranks in terms of wrestling podcasts?
Not high, that's for sure.
Would you say would you say top 10?
Not even, maybe. I don't know.
Would you say top 20?
They have less followers than us on Twitter, and when I say less, I mean they have under 4,000.
I would not put a top 10. Top 10, you've got I would say
all 3 of Conrad's.
You think Shivani would make it?
Yes.
Okay. So you have those 3. You have Jericho. You have Austin's in a hiatus right now, but I would put his in there for sure. Colt Cabana's was, I don't know if it still is with his change in format, but that would be, I guess, 6. And then you've also got maybe Lapsed Fan 7, which I personally don't like that much, but
Edge and Christian.
Edge and Christian broke in for sure. 8.
Maybe X-Pac.
X-Pac is big on YouTube. Yeah. It'd be 9.
Cornette.
Yeah, Cornette. Yeah.
And you got MLW. You got Conan and who's the other one that does I can't think of the name. Didn't Cord Bauer used to do one with like somebody that was big, it was popular?
He did, and I went back and listened to an episode of him and I think Alex Greenfield talking about Ring of Honor, because I wanted to like get the facts right on the Ring of Honor MLW piece that I did and Court's criticisms of Delirious and Ring of Honor, and it was pretty telling everything he had to say, and he seems like a pretty straight shooter to me.
Yeah. You know what? I want to adjust your list. If for a top 10 podcast, I'm going to say Lawler doesn't even fit the top 10 of wrestlers doing podcasts.
Just wrestlers.
Because JR, we forgot him.
JR's took a dip.
Could be what?
JR's podcast took a dip, though. He does birthdays now.
I think more people listen to JR.
Then Lawler, yeah, I would agree with that.
Because King doesn't even have guests every week.
That's true, yeah.
But anyway, they follow us now on Twitter, so maybe it was all worth it. I don't know what else to say.
I hope so.
Yeah.
There was another one that came to mind too, but I can't remember. Oh yeah. probably the Wrestling Observer Radio. I know that's subscriber based, but I would say it's still more popular than Dinner with the King.
Definitely, a lot of people listen to that.
Yeah.
You might even put Lillian Garcia's up there. She has all the WWE people.
Yeah, she does a lot of the women.
Yeah,
certainly.
There's so many, and then you're putting your own up there. I mean, look at the competition.
There, I would say, there's also Raven's podcast. Killing the Town.
Dreamer does one now.
Interesting. You know who was like at the forefront of wrestling podcasts was Rob Van Dam.
Was he really?
Back in 2011, Rob Van Dam was doing this Skype radio show called RVD Radio, where he and like a co-host of his would just talk about topics of various things, alcohol abuse, gambling, medical marijuana, a lot of political topics too. Sometimes wrestling. Sometimes he'd have guests on. One time he had Chris Masters on the show. Another time he had the Ultimate Warrior on the show, I believe. He had some guests, but it didn't catch on because wrestling podcast didn't really hit it big for another couple years.
Yeah, and now it's just completely oversaturated.
Yeah, totally.
Which is why how Conrad has really he's broken through to be the top guy.
He's the top guy.
It's crazy.
Too much Cajun food. Oh man. Well, we've been at it now for not quite 3 hours, but total 3 hours if you count your radio show. John, where can we follow you on social media?
You can follow me on Not Ready, the number 4 radio. And I encourage everyone to follow The Wrestling Estate, The Wrestling EST on Twitter. We are over 10,000 followers and growing. And we got a lot of great stuff coming up as we continue to grow and have a good time.
You want to tease anything?
You know, I would say everyone should check out our interview with Sabu's co-author, Kenny Casanova. He also did the Brutus Beefcake book, the Kamala book. He's coming out with Vader's book, The Late Great Vader. He's going to be working on Tito Santana's book. And, of course, Sid has been calling him. Sid Vicious wants a book. And if you haven't checked out the interview yet, I recommend it. Lots of great stuff about Sabu, about what these publishing companies typically pay wrestlers for their autobiographies. And lots of good stuff in there, so check that out.
You know, a Sid Vicious book would be great. That was another episode I really liked for something to wrestle with.
Yeah, that was a good one. Well, I think Sabu's book's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, how can it not?
Yeah.
Do you think he'll do my book too?
He'll do your book?
Yeah, do you think so?
Yeah, I mean, I'd read that.
You're a gentleman and a scholar. Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Jack Goodwillie. Lately, I've been getting into it with some people, with some critical people of not just the Wrestling Estate, but of certain wrestling opinions. But I welcome it. It's good discussion as always. So make sure to tweet me up on there, especially if you made it this far into the podcast. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Of course, covered a lot of ground today, and it was a lot of fun. Kind of want to bring this back. Maybe I'll talk to our mutual friend in New York.
Jersey, you mean?
Jersey. Yeah, that's right. He doesn't actually, he just works there.
Clearly, we see how well friends you guys are. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man. It's what can you say?
You know what? I think it'd be good because I enjoyed when you guys did it. And, he needs to contribute. So I think that would be the best way.
Then I think you should talk to him in that case.
I can't keep talking to all these people. These are your projects. You got to tell Chad to fucking put his thing in. I don't understand his response to the email. And you got to tell Troy to
I'm in.
Get the band back together. busy putting out fires with Juan. I can't be handling everything.
My God. I'm here with the Juan Batista. It's my Rio Rogers.
Oh, Jesus.
Doing Juan Batista. Oh my God.
Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man. It was a great discussion. As Steve Austin would say, there's a lot of bullshit I need to scrape off the bottom of my brain, or whatever it is that he says. Hell yeah. Yeah. So you know where to follow us. Please get at us. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you on another time. Take care, guys.